Howdy folks, Meandering Mike here in the Man Cave of Madness. It's after midnight and we're doing an unboxing of a game called Monstrous, the game of Mythic Mayhem. Now this is a game from 2015, 8 years ago, from Secret Base Games. Sometimes you ask, Meandering Mike, why do you pick games that are so old sometimes to unbox? Shouldn't you be doing like new ones? Well, there's a particular reason I grabbed this one. I'm doing game design on Greek mythology, heroic travel. Not sure if it's going to be like Jason the Argonauts, Ulysses Odyssey, a little Labors of Hercules, somewhere in that game space. But I've been looking at other games out there to make sure I don't overlap too much. And I found this one in my collection. And it's in shrink, so I figured I'd unwrap it. So, you know, all those various mystical monsters in the Greek mythology space. So let's take a look. So as usual, oyster shucker, the unshrinker of power, going in here, working on this shrink wrap. All right, there we go, uncovering the mysteries. All right, let's see here. That came off pretty smoothly. Put that back there. All right, I'm going to tilt down a bit so you can see the contents better. Let's see here. I will probably zoom out in a little bit, but right now, okay, we have lightning start rules. This is a folded up 8.5 by 11, so it's like the equivalent of 2 pages, 8.5, 11, 4 half pages. The aim of the game, victory. Score the most faith by throwing your monster cards to land on hit locations and other throwing your cards. Okay, this is like one of the, like a disc game. You're actually throwing your cards, so it's a physical dexterity game. Interesting. I did not realize that. Remove the chairs, stand up, and move around the table to play. Interesting. Wow. Okay, location cards, Naxos, Athens, Corinth, Sparta, Troy, in the middle of the table. Separating them at least by 1 monster card length each. So you don't want, because you're throwing them, and you're trying to get them to land on, you don't want a card to land on 2 locations at once. Okay, so you got to spread them out a little bit. Interesting. A God board, monster deck. I'm not going to read through this whole thing here. Glancing. Key terms, that's nice. A little kind of glossary, vocab, throw. Throw a card from your hand crossing the table edge. Cards thrown illegally or landing off the table. So you have to stand back from the table. You have to throw from not over the table, but chucking it. It's kind of like, you know, sideways, standing back from the table's edge. You got to get it to land on the table, hopefully on top of a card, and not off the other end of the table. As long as the edge visibly over or under. So you could actually slide under another card. So as long as they overlap. Discard. Gain faith. Take faith. Interesting. Throw monster. Trap monster powers. Location powers. Gain faith. Extra throw. Turn, draw from the monster deck. All right, here's an example of throwing, ending the game. When you've thrown your last card and no cards left to draw, the game end is triggered. The other gods take 1 final turn, and then it's time for the Judgment of Zeus. All right, that sounds like a weird, wacky game. That's not the style of game I'm going to be going for, but I'm looking here for inspiration about the monsters, and I suppose, yeah, I mean, you're leaving Troy, you're going home if we're doing Odysseus. Argos, obviously, that's where they is in play for the Argonauts. But we're looking for inspiration on the monsters. Like, what monsters do I want to include? So, all right, so this is actually a pretty hefty rule book here. And so it's 24 pages total to go into more detail about all that stuff. But that quick game, a lot of illustrations, not illustrations, pictures of the cards. explain example. Half the book is examples. Well, actually, no. It's 3 pages. But then variants, teams, more glossary, credits, frequently asked questions. That's good. That's always good. Preempting those issues. I mean, I kind of think like, well, write the rules a little better so that these are explained. But sometimes people still have questions. They make assumptions, right? And don't read the rules. So, yeah, a frequently asked question is probably a good idea. All right, I'm going to dig into the goodies. All right, this is the location cards, or it's a list of locations. I want to look to see what else is in here before I... All right, there are 2. Okay, they look the same. Wow, those are like points for the mayhem, the mythic mayhem you're causing as monsters hit locations. I guess you're getting score as you succeed in throwing monsters. Okay, so these are the actual location cards. Let's see if I can get into this. No, there's not a seam there. This one might be a little more challenging given that it's a thinner. There we go. We got in there. Yay. All right. Now that we've... Come on. All right. Here we go, folks. Meandering Mike and the Monstrous Mythic Mayhem. Argos. When hit, gain 1 faith for each monster in your hand. When hit, draw a card or gain 1 faith. Corinth. Gain 1 throw. Delphi. Put any card from your deck or the underworld on top of your deck. So you will draw it next. So on the deck, wait, put any card from your deck or the... Okay, underworld I'm assuming is maybe like a discard pile. This would imply here, put any card from your deck. You would search your deck and put it on the top. The Oracle at Delphi. Mount Olympus. Put any card from your deck or underworld into your hand. Into your hand. Wow. That's right into your hand. Not on the top of your deck when you draw next, but boom, you've got an extra card. Take 1 faith from a god with a monster hitting Naxos. Ah, revenge. If you hit my Naxos, I'm going to take a faith from you. Olympia. No special, but okay, so these are obviously the points you get for scoring mayhem. You're hitting them with monsters. So that's good points, but you get damaged. This is good points, but no... So this is actually, good points, but doesn't hurt you. This one is good points, but it hurts you. Put a monster hitting a location on top of its god's deck. Hitting a location. Any location. You could take a monster from any location, it sounds like, and you're going to put it back on the deck. They're going to redraw it. The god with the most monsters hitting Troy gains 3 faith. Is that every turn? Like every time so the first guy hits it, they'll gain 3. Then if 2 hit it, there's no god that has the most. Then when the third one hits it, if one guy has 2, then he gets it? Or is this just at the very end? I don't know. This is when hit. Oh, end of game. Meandering Mike, pay attention. End of game. The god. So if it's tied, do they split the 3 points in half? Do they each get it? Or nobody, because no one has the most. Underworld. So this is an actual location. Draw a card from the top of any god's underworld. Wait a minute. So there's the underworld, and then I guess if we went back and looked at those glossary, underworld may also be defined as your discard. I'm not sure. Underworld. Discarded monsters tucked vertically under the right side of your god board. Sometimes, so there's the underworld and there's the underworld. All right. It is a location and it's your individual underworld of discards. All right. So that was a location card. So this lists the locations. This lists all the monsters: Gorgon, Phoenix, Siren. Now some of them are in red. Not sure why. Cyclops, a dragon, giant, griffin, harpy, hellhound, hydra, manticore, Pegasus. Well, Gorgon is the Medusa. Definitely gonna have her. Wasn't planning on having Phoenix. The Sirens, yep. Cyclops, absolutely. Giant or dragon, no. Giant, not necessarily. Got the Cyclops here. Griffin, sure. Harpies, absolutely. Hellhounds, not necessarily. Hydra, absolutely. Manticore, maybe not. Pegasus, probably. So here's a number of monsters that'll probably be in the game. We'll see how they're defined and used. Was there a spot? Normally, if you've got... Wow. Normally, right? If you have one of these little pulley strings for cards, does it not usually have a spot? Well, no. Oh, goodness. There we go. Meandering Mike, Man Cave of Madness, fighting with the shrink. I don't understand why you have a built-in little peel strap for the cards and you don't have an access point for it. All right, so obviously I'm going to be using plastic bands. Yes, not rubber bands. Gorgon, see, there's good old Medusa, Gorgon. Discard any monster that hits Gorgon. Okay, she just turns him to stone right back. Put hit monsters on top of their god's deck. Hit monsters when hit. If he hits a monster, it forces them to go back and make them redraw it. Pegasus. Miss location. Throw Pegasus again once per turn. Oh, okay. If you miss, you get to try again. Nice. All right. Giant. Gain the location's faith. So normally you hit a location and you assume you're doing that devastation, that damage points. In this case, I'm assuming as a bonus, you get the faith in addition. Harpies, griffins. So there's Manticore, Siren, Phoenix, Hellhound, Cyclops, Gorgon. So not sure how many of each. Look through that deck. Let's see the Phoenix. What does the Phoenix say? Gain one throw. I think that's the extra throw at the end. If you hit another monster. Put Phoenix on top of its god's deck when it is hit. It comes back from the ashes. Thematic. Very good. So this thought process here. If I were to include something like the Phoenix, there would be needing to be some way to regenerate the card. Somewhere where it would be destroyed, go out of play, burns itself up, but some way to bring it back. So that's mining for ideas. I'm certainly not doing a card throwing game, but how do you deal with monsters? What kind of aspects of them? I mean, certainly the Gorgon's all about turning people to stone, and how do you defeat said monster? So you need like a mirror shield, a shiny plate, something to reflect back the visage, so that you can not necessarily turn her to stone, but at least maybe make her look away and help defeat her. So somehow in there you need certain objects to now this game doesn't have that. This is all about monsters and locations and gods throwing monsters at locations, having a grand free-for-all, standing around the table. It's very thematic. I really like the notion of this game. I think I'll have fun getting to play to the table. I never looked at the back of the box, folks. I normally do that all the time. Sorry, Meandering Mike, after midnight, brain's a little frazzled. I did not get much sleep the night before. It was really bad. I had to get up at 6 a.m. to watch Nanguea's live stream, and I'd only got an hour of sleep beforehand. So my brain was so spaced out. I knew the answer to the trivia question, but I just just, I was blanking out, half falling asleep, was trying to stay awake, and just like, I can't grab the mouse, just let people win. So anyway, okay, here we go. 2 to 5 players. I should have checked. Board Game Geek often tells you best for blah. 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow, pretty chaotic with 5 probably, I can imagine. All right. Anyway, anyhow. Oh, look at this. This insert is actually kind of nice and. In the underworld, there's Cerberus or Cerberus. If you go for the hard C, well, that would be in Latin. In Greek, Cerberus. Okay. Underworld art. Anyway, all right. So yeah, nothing else. There's no wait. There they are. There's a couple of cards at the end. So big, huge deck. I can find out later how many are each. So here, yep, 5 cards. Just little. There's your turn, folks. Throw a monster. Trap monster powers. Monster powers, location power. So I'm not sure exactly what that means. I mean, other than the thing listed on the card, do them in a certain order. Yep. So you get a handful of those. So that's it, folks. I mean, well, what else is in here? There's a few more cards. There's more cards. So besides listing all the monsters, listing all the locations, there's something else in here. All right. Is there a... There, it looks like there's... This is where a sharp knife would actually be easier. There we go. Sometimes you just gotta use the finger or thumbnails. All right. I'm gonna do a little bend and risk. All right. Sorry, folks. Oh my goodness. It's resisting. Come on, +2. Oyster Shucker of Power. There we go. Now, what else do we have in here? Oh, it's just a card for each player. So each player can have the list, knowing all the locations, all the monsters, so you can know what's potentially coming. Again, not sure why these 3 are in red. Oh, they're the ones that when hit. So they have a defensive thing. If you hit this guy, something's going to happen to you. All these other ones only have an effect when they hit a location or another monster. Or the Pegasus, he misses. That's why they're in red. All right, warning, damage, hit them. So I really like the production values in this game. The thoughtfulness of having, card for each player, sequence of play, listing all this stuff here so that you know what's in the deck. Every player, whether you played or not, you can see the information. You don't have a huge advantage. Like, I've played this where I know what these are. Another player doesn't know it. You can see them right here. So is this the kind of game that I think I would normally play? No, I'm not into dexterity games, Twitch games, all that kind of stuff, even though I am playing Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition online right now. Even though I am not that fast, I'm old, I don't have the dexterity, I like to puzzle and noodle things through, so it's really hard for me to actually do things as fast as these young whippersnappers do. But anyway, this sounds like a lot of fun. This sounds very interesting. And there's not a huge depth of, I was maybe expecting more monsters, some obscure monsters. There's giant boar, I can't remember what is it the Hyborian boar or something, and other things that, I'm digging through for what all's available to put in my game. And of course, you got to pare it down because it's not going to be a large card game. It's going to try to hit in at 55 cards. But anyway, some payoff here, some interesting thoughts of, of effects and something like the Phoenix or whatnot. What locations will I use in my game? Important things. Yeah, you're not my game. You're not gonna actually go to Mount Olympus. You're not gonna, but and as an actual, Ulysses would already be underway, heading home if it's Odyssey based. So we wouldn't actually have Troy as a location per se. If it's Jason and the Argonauts, I don't think he stopped at any of these places. I mean, so we will see. Anyway, other than Argos, obviously being a part of the Argonauts. So that's it, folks. Oh, you've got a baggie for the counters. That's Meandering Mike, Man Cave of Madness. We have unboxed Monstrous, the game of Mythic Mayhem. This is from Secret Base Games. And also a little tiny thing here is Good Games Publishing. So Secret Base Games might be the design house, the design crew. It does say by Kim Brebach. So that would be the lead designer, probably from Secret Base Games. But anyway, that is our unboxing. We went over 20 minutes. Sorry about that, folks. But as usual, I ramble. And it was fun looking at different pieces and components. So, I'll try to get this to the table sometime before the summer's over and let you know how it goes. It looks like a lot of fun. I think this can be got pretty cheaply out there now. I believe I got it on a discounted clearance sale or something like that. So, card game with some counters. You can probably get it pretty cheap. Obviously, it may or not be. If you're into war games and such only, this just will not tickle your fancy. But if you like the idea of chucking monsters at the table, all you gods sitting around competing, might be fun. So, all you out there, take care. Don't offend the gods, and ciao.